my loves, welcome back to the It Girl Mindset. In today's episode, we are diving into the first Ask Ash Anything episode. I was kind of debating if I wanted to just do it at the end of episodes, but I got so many questions. I was like, you know what? We're just going to dedicate a full episode to this. So if you have your own questions, don't forget to follow me on Instagram because that's where I will put the question box probably every Monday. So I can just gather a bunch of questions and answer them once a month. So in today's episode, we're diving into everything from strengthening your intuition, how I drink, what my favorite substitutes are for alcohol in social settings as someone who doesn't drink, how my life changed when I got my dream body, some dieting tips for PCOS girlies, and everything in between, disciplines, routines, subconscious reprogramming. I got a lot of really well-rounded questions, so let's get into it. Welcome to the It Girl Mindset, where I help you step into the next level version of yourself by mastering your mindset, manifesting your deepest desires, and connecting deeply with your body. It's about becoming the most authentic, radiant, unapologetic, and unbothered version of yourself. Together, we're going to chat about how to unlock your true potential and create a life that feels as good as it looks. If you're ready to become the healthiest, hottest, and most abundant version of yourself, you're in the perfect place. Let's get into it. Okay, first, let's talk about some things that I've done to strengthen my intuition. And because intuition is such a big piece of what I teach, not only with your body and routines and everything like that, but truly following your purpose. Like, my intuition has guided me to so many amazing things in my life. But just a couple of tips right off the bat is, first off, you have to start asking and connecting to your intuition, right? You can't just expect yourself on the really big things to be like, okay, do I move to this city or not? And try to trust your intuition, because you're going to have a really hard time. And even for me, like, I have a really hard time trusting in general. That's just kind of the nature of who I am. I struggle to trust other people. I, in the past, really struggled to trust myself. And that's the same with intuition. It's like you have to build that trust with your intuition. You can't just expect it to just one day come online and then trust everything that comes to your mind, or just expect that you're going to trust it, right? It's really important to build that relationship like you would build any relationships, and even how you would build trust with yourself, right? It's all about strengthening that relationship and starting small, right? Starting even with little things of like, okay, what do I want to do this evening, right? Maybe what pops into your intuition is to go to a workout class. Maybe what pops into your intuition is to take a bath, right? And intuition can come in a couple different ways. There's feeling, so you can feel it physically in your body. There's just knowing, which is just, you just know. Like, you don't know why you know. You just know. The third is visualizing. So you can really visualize things in your brain. And then hearing is the last one. So things come through words. Learning what your strongest sense is what's going to also really help you strengthen that intuition. It's funny. I think I just said this on a podcast episode the other day where I was like, my strongest ways of intuition is hearing and visualizing. And I actually had a call with a psychic, my mentor, shout out to Emma. She actually told me that my strongest ones are knowing and feeling. Those ones are just harder to explain, right? I default to a very logical brain where if I just know something, I don't trust that. Circling back to that trust piece, right? And she told me that, and it almost was like, oh yeah, actually, yeah. Like, the physical feelings I have in my body are so strong. I think I just didn't know what to do with them. And then just knowing things, again, it's like that trust. And so what I've been leaning into even to strengthen those pieces of my intuition is I'm just going about my day to day. And if something comes in my mind that I just know, I just kind of am like, okay, I think I know this. And then if that actually happened, or what I think I know is actually right, again, I'm building that trust with myself and my intuition. I'm building that evidence. I talk about this a lot with my clients where because our brain loves evidence. So keep a piggy bank of evidence, right? You can even write a note in your phone that's like piggy bank of evidence, right? So every single time you trust your intuition and it turns out better than you could have imagined, or you were right about something, you can write that in your little piggy bank. So every time you are feeling a little bit of like, I don't trust myself, or I don't trust my intuition, you can go back to your note and be like, oh, look at all this evidence that I have, right? Okay, now let's talk about my supplements and and vitamin stack. So I've talked about this a bit. I'm vlogging right now too, so sometimes I'm like, what have I told on which thing? But right now I am on a medication for my acne. I'm on minocycline. I resisted it for so long, but it just got to a point where it was affecting my mental health so bad that I really just needed to get on it. And just because I'm on medication doesn't mean that all my other, routines and health and holistic side and natural healing goes out the window, right? So I'm really supporting my gut because since it's an antibiotic, it kills the bad bacteria, but it also kills the good bacteria. So I'm replenishing that good bacteria with a really strong probiotic. I'm also taking L-glutamine to also support my gut even more. And then I just take a multi and a fish oil. Fish oil is just to help reduce inflammation because that's what a lot of the acne is from. I'm detoxing from mold, and so I'm just trying to keep inflammation down as much as possible. If I wasn't on, I honestly really try to keep my supplements simple. I think there's a time and a place for supplements, but if you're just blindly taking supplements because you think that that's going to magically help you, I don't necessarily think that's the best idea. You're probably just wasting money and could spend that and invest in other ways in your health. So I really like to keep that simple unless I have a specific purpose. Like, I've gone to my naturopath and I was on a deep, intense supplement protocol. And so I did that for a period of time, and then I went on my way and, simplified that. Also, if you get blood work done, you can also see where your deficiencies are. When you get blood work done from the doctor, there's what's normal and there's what's optimal. So whenever I get blood tests back from my doctor, I don't look what's in the normal range. Like, I look in the optimal range, and they don't tell you the optimal range. You just have to look it up. You can ask ChatGPT or a doctor or maybe like a naturopath or Google it or whatever. But because doctors aren't necessarily looking at how optimal are you, right? They're like, are you dying or are you not, right? And I know that's dark, but it's very true. They're not trying to get you to optimal. They're just trying to make sure that you're alive and there's not anything horribly wrong. And that's why looking at those numbers sometimes a lot of times can be confusing because you're like, oh, I'm in normal range. But then you go show it to a naturopath or you look at the optimal ranges and it's like, oh, this is actually not optimal. So you can supplement from there. But again, I'm not into blindly just buying supplements like for the heck of it, right? Even for me, greens powders, not into it. I think you should just get vegetables from your food. You know me, I'm obsessed with making sure you're fueling your body properly. You have 3 chances a day at least to make healthy choices, and there's so much room for greens and veggies and plants and nutrients. I don't think you need to have fake greens powder to supplement. That's my personal opinion though. Okay, now that we're kind of on the topic of health, I got a question that said diet tips for PCOS girlies. I want to quit GLP-1s, but I'm scared of gaining weight. So first off, I just want to say I'm not a hormone specialist. I'm not a doctor. Take this as you will. Okay, this is not medical advice, but I will say in terms of dieting tips for PCOS specifically, so just to simplify, PCOS has to do with blood sugar imbalance, hormone imbalance, and then can lead to symptoms like irregular periods, hair growth, acne, oily skin, and things like that. So first off, before we even talk about diet tips, nervous system regulation, right? If our body's in fight or flight, that can wreak havoc on our body. That can change our hormones, that can change our blood sugar. It can do crazy things to our body because your body's, if it's in chronic fight or flight, the only thing that it's worried about is keeping you safe. It's not, are we digesting optimally? Are we at an optimal weight, right? And this is the thing too, when you're in fight or flight, a lot of times your body will actually store onto fat because it's like, okay, we need to store this. If we're running away from a tiger, we're running away from danger, we need to make sure we have that energy to sustain us for potentially long periods of time, right? And again, I know in the modern world, it's like, why has our body not adapted yet? But it just hasn't. Our environment has adapted way faster than our brain and our body. And so we need to take that into account. I know, again, it can sound silly and weird. It's like, how does our body not adapted yet? But it's very real. And that's why it's important to look at your body as a whole body approach, right? That's why with PCOS, it's like, it's not just about, the types of food and dieting tips, right? It's about your nervous system, how calm and safe you feel. Also, the fear of gaining weight. First off, I just want to say that is so real. I had that for years. Even after I lost weight at first, I still kind of had that in the back of my mind, like, am I going to gain weight again? Is it just going to come back? And so I do know how stressful that can feel, which is why I want you to lean into your nervous system regulation and bringing your body into a calm state. Another thing I want to add too is I would do subconscious reprogramming around the fear of gaining weight as well. I actually have done this a lot with my clients because, again, it's a very real fear where you feel that feeling, right? And this might not take just one subconscious reprogramming, right? Because there's always layers to it, right? Even if we think we've gotten to the root, once we uncover that, there might be another root underneath that. But it's really important to, again, assess that fear. And like I said earlier, our brain loves evidence, okay? I'm not saying you need to quit GLP-1s. Again, I'm not a doctor, but is there a way that you can wean yourself off of it slowly so you can prove to yourself and see, okay, I'm not gaining weight even though I'm tapering off of it, right? Again, not a doctor, not medical advice, but however you can show and prove to your brain that you're not going to gain the weight is going to help reinforce that belief, right? And then in terms of actual diet, right, we want blood sugar balanced meals. So we want to have a protein, a carb, and a fat at every single meal, especially as females. I don't think we understand that we need healthy fats. Our hormones can't function properly if we don't have enough fat. So if you're only eating protein and carbs, or, just trying to minimize fat because it has more calories per gram, I would highly recommend not even thinking about calories and really leaning into how your body feels. What are your hunger and fullness cues telling you? I know that also can be a challenge with GLP-1s because it kind of skews your hunger and fullness cues, but if you don't feel hungry, then just lean into at least consistent meals every single day, especially because PCOS has to do with blood sugar balance. So making sure you are eating balanced meals, carb, protein, fat, fiber, every single meal. Like even for your snacks, right? Making sure you have a blood sugar balanced snack. You don't just want to eat dates, right? Even for me, I used to just eat dates with no almond butter, no nothing. And although there is a tiny bit of fiber, it's still spiking your blood sugar. So, and even though it's a quote unquote natural, it's still spiking your blood sugar. So that's why it's important to have balanced meals for every single meal. But again, I just want to validate you that the fear of gaining weight is so real, but it's something you can work with, right? It's something that you're like, okay, I'm aware of this fear. I'm aware that I'm afraid of this happening. How can I shift this belief to trust that I know I'm not going to gain weight? How can I also prove to my brain through evidence that it's not happening, that it won't happen by taking baby steps? And how can I support myself with love rather than fear? I talk about this a lot on the podcast. You guys probably know this, but when you start to take care of your body out of love instead of fear, everything shifts, right? I used to force myself to go to the gym because I wanted to be skinny. I used to force myself to eat boring, gross food because I thought that that's what I had to do to look the way that I wanted to. But once I shifted my eating and my nourishment and my movement and everything in between to actually be about loving on my body, everything shifted for me. And I started to really take care of my body from a place of self-respect. It was never about discipline or force. It was truly like, I love my body so much. And this is the one that I have on this planet in this lifetime. So I'm going to do the best that I can every single day to take care of my body. I think some people would probably look at the food that I eat and the way I take care of my body like, wow, that's obsessive. But it's not, because how you feel in your body determines your whole entire life. If I feel like shit, my day's probably going to suck. And I also am hypersensitive. So, there's definitely a line and a balance to this, but I take taking care of my body very seriously because I like to feel good. So again, it's not about discipline or force. It's about showing up because you love your body so much. Now, another question I got was, do you think discipline and routines can be taken too far? Yes, absolutely. And that's why, even kind of going back to the intuition piece, where rather than being so obsessed with a specific plan, it's about learning your body and your needs. And discipline can be across every single area of your life. It's not just about your body or health, right? It can be with work and career and money and everything in between. But I definitely think that discipline can be taken too far. But that's why you have to build that connection with yourself and your intuition so you can really make that decision for yourself. Because I'll even tell you, when I first started my health and fitness coaching business, like I was so obsessed with being successful that like I would just sit at this desk and I'd work. I didn't even want to get up to go for a walk. I didn't even want to go to the gym because I thought it would take too much time, right? I thought I just had to work. And again, that was taking it too far, right? And I was completely ignoring the health side of me. And I think that's what happens when you take a routine or a discipline too far in one area. The reason it's a problem is because you're probably ignoring other areas of your life, right? Like if you're so focused on your health and you're obsessed with it, maybe you're not making time for connections or family, and that can hurt you in another area of your life. I think life truly in all areas of life is about this balancing act of, obviously it's not going to be 100% balanced in every single area, but you can allow it to ebb and flow. I think that's something that I've really learned in my most recent years is nothing is going to be perfect. Not one area is going to be perfect. Yes, sometimes my health is going to be my 90% focus and everything else will kind of take a back seat, but it's going to ebb and flow. And it doesn't just ebb and flow in a season. There's seasons within seasons, and within the seasons, there's days, and within the days, there's hours, and everything can fluctuate and move. And the more that you can just accept that it's just going to flow and you're going to ride the wave, the easier life becomes. And I think that's why I've really adopted this soft girl discipline lifestyle, because yes, I'm so goal oriented and I have so many things I want to do, but not to get too cheesy, but we literally have one life here in this lifetime. We're meant to live and explore and live our best lives, right? Go experience all the emotions. And yes, achieving goals and being healthy and doing the things that you need to do is so important. But if we take discipline and routines too far, you're probably missing out on the other fun things in life. And I think that's, again, a big lesson that I've learned over the years is, yes, work and career and money and being successful is so important to me, but so is spending time with my niece and nephew, going to Tahoe with my friends, traveling to Hawaii with my boyfriend, seeing my family, spending time alone. All of these things are also important. And so if you feel like you're taking your routines too far or discipline too far, your body will tell you. You're going to get an intuitive ping to be like, wow, why does this not feel good? Right? Not to say every single day you're going to feel amazing when you're showing up for yourself. Sometimes it's going to feel hard. Some days it's going to feel easy, but there will be a quiet voice. Your intuition is never coming across in this negative scarcity mindset way. It's going to quietly tell you, and it's going to tell you over and over again, and it'll probably over time get louder and louder and louder until you have to listen. That's something that happened to me with my work. When I, again, started my health and fitness coaching business, I don't even know, 5 years ago, I was so obsessed chaining myself to my desk, like I said. And quietly, I could hear in the back of my mind that was like, something's not right. And I just ignore, until finally my body was screaming at me, right? My body's like, this is not healthy. You're not okay. My acne broke out so bad. I was in fight or flight. I was rushing, I was anxious, I wasn't sleeping. All of these symptoms started to get louder and louder and louder until I finally was like, okay, I give up. I have to listen. And that's how your intuition works. It's going to quietly, it's like, hey girlie, something's not right here. And then eventually it will get louder and louder until you can't ignore it. But it's so much easier to learn what those intuitive pings are and listening to your intuition before it gets to that screaming point. Okay, next question. What are your favorite substitutes you use for alcohol in a social setting? So honestly, I really like those Hiyo drinks, Hiyo. I don't have them all the time. A lot of times I don't have, I'll just have a sparkling water or something like that. Sparkling water with lime. I like these Hiyo drinks, but they're kind of sweet and I just get over the flavors pretty fast. It honestly blows my mind how I used to drink so many high noons in a day or weekend or whatever. And then now that I'm not drinking, I have a Hiyo and I'm like, oh, this is so sweet. It's literally the same thing as a high noon, sugar wise and sweetness wise. It's wild. But yeah, I do like having Hiyos. I really think too at the beginning of my journey, because it's been about 1.5 years now of no alcohol. The beginning of my journey, I was like, I need to have a substitute because it was kind of I didn't feel confident in myself and I felt a little bit awkward about not drinking at first. Now that it's just been over time, I feel very calm and confident in who I am in those social settings. So I don't necessarily have a substitute all the time, but I feel like my close like family and friends and stuff, they always are so generous and think about me, and they always have like sparkly waters for me. So that's kind of the biggest thing. But yeah, the Hyos, they have like different mushrooms in it, not like magical mushrooms or anything, but they have, I want to say like ashwagandha, just like some calming features, because for me, alcohol was always I had really bad social anxiety for the longest time, and alcohol helped calm that. And that's what I think is so cool about these other drinks, is they have natural calming features. So if you are one of those people who does have social anxiety and was kind of used alcohol as an outlet for that, having something like a Hyo drink can be really, really helpful. It's actually so crazy how much I literally have no desire to drink. I was just telling Eric this the other day. I was like, I have like negative 1,000 desire to drink now. And I never thought I'd get to this point. I thought alcohol made me this confident, outgoing, fun person. And I really realized that it actually didn't do that. And especially being around drunk people, I'm like, I'm not judging, but I'm like, wow. I think that I used to think I was like hot shit while I was drinking. And now being sober around drunk people, I'm like, yeah, probably not so much. Like, and honestly, like, I don't mind being around drinking at all, especially like we go to Tahoe with our best friends. And that honestly was really hard for me at first. I really struggled because I didn't know how to take care of myself in those moments, because I just wanted to be this like go with the flow girly. But I really had to learn that if I don't go to sleep early, if I don't take care of my body and do my normal routines, I'm going to feel like shit. And when I feel like shit, I'm not a fun person to be around. So it was never about the alcohol. It was about me actually taking care of myself and my body. So some things that I bring to Tahoe when I am in a group trip and everyone else is drinking, I brought like my red light mask and my Kindle, so I can do my red light mask, do a little meditation, and read at night. So again, it's bringing some normalcy and helps me really wind down, because just being around people staying in the same house is like constant stimulation, right? Like it's so fun, but it's constant stimulation. So I have to allow myself to wind down and go to bed early. When I first started going on these trips, I wasn't drinking, I was like, I have to stay up late because I don't want to be lame, or whatever the story we tell ourselves. But now I'm like, no, like I have to go to sleep at a normal hour or I'm gonna be a monster tomorrow. So I've really learned that about myself. And again, the alcohol substitutes don't necessarily change that, but they are nice to have when you are feeling like, okay, I want to be included here, Okay, we just have a few more questions here. So what's the biggest, most impactful thing that you've cleared through subconscious reprogramming? Honestly, one of the biggest clearings I've had, and again, there has been layers to this, but basically around the concept that like, if I'm successful, I'm not going to lose the person that I love. A lot of times, even in like past relationships, my success kind of, I guess, caused my partner to feel uneasy. And this has like been a pattern. And so it was causing me to stay small a little bit, because I was like, oh, I don't want to lose my partner, right? Like I want to be successful and I want to have the love of my life, So that was kind of like a reoccurring pattern that I saw, and clearing that. It was honestly one of my first ever clearings too. And it was like a weight was lifted off of my shoulders, because I'm like, okay, even if there is some sort of adverse reaction, whatever it may be, I know that I can be successful and I can be with the love of my life. And again, even like an ex-boyfriend, I remember so specifically, it was the first time I ever got a one-to-one client. And it was like a higher ticket one-to-one client. She paid in full for 6 months, and I was so excited. And I told him, and he literally looked at me and was like, ew, you just get whatever you want. Like, that's so annoying. And I was like, oh, okay. Okay. And then that kind of started, that reinforced that belief that's like, people aren't going to like you if you're successful. And when it's your partner, it's like, oh, that's really scary, right? You don't want to leave the person that you're with or, hurt them in any way. I really use this analogy a lot, where it's like this glass wall, where it just, once I released that, I felt like the glass wall disappeared and I could just easily move towards showing up in the way that I wanted to. And I wasn't afraid that I was going to hurt someone because of my success, right? Hurt someone emotionally because of my success. So that was a really big one for me. But I mean, I've done so many clearings, and it's so crazy what your subconscious mind brings up. I've done a lot of clearings too around my physical appearance. And I always get taken back to this moment when I was little. It was a pool party. And I don't know, maybe this is gross, but I had a wart on my toe and I was so self-conscious. Like I just wanted to hide. I did not want anyone to see it. And so I just remember crying in the bathroom and thinking I was gross. And I think that has honestly come up a lot with my acne because it's like this feeling of gross, like, oh, I have this thing on my body and I feel gross about it and it makes me feel gross. And so when I cleared that, it allowed me to, again, kind of remove the veil and just, it's not to say, okay, yeah, I love this wart on my toe or I love this acne, but it's like, okay, I'm okay and I'm safe and I am loved even though I have these things. So that's something that comes up a lot. Actually, I have to say one more because this is really another one that comes up for me a lot. And I kind of go back to this moment in time a lot, kind of for different reasons, different layers again, but it's kind of like this feeling of not being good enough or not being picked or always being left out. I've told you guys before, I've kind of felt like a lone wolf my whole life and just, different than other people. And it's so silly thinking about this because back then it seemed like such a big deal. And like looking back now, I'm like, oh, poor little Ashley. I just want to give her a hug, which is what we do in my subconscious reprogramming method. But there was this time, and I want to say this was like first grade, second grade, maybe something like that. It was a PE and there were two teams. There were two team captains and everyone else lined up and we're playing kickball and people were picking teams. They picked me last. Like of the whole entire class, I was picked last. And it was like mortifying to me, like truly mortifying. Then I remember during this moment, I'm naturally good at sports. Like I'm just going to be real. And I have been since I was younger. And I remember just getting so angry. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to prove you bitches wrong. You guys chose last. And I literally I don't know if I kicked a home run. And again, I don't know if this is the exact time, but I also kicked it super far and it went in the basketball hoop that was in the outfield of where we were playing. I literally scored a basket. But then, okay, see how this belief of me not being picked, being picked last or not being picked, I felt that I had something to prove. And then that was a new belief that I had to rewire because, again, it was like, wow, okay, if no one's going to pick me, I just have to prove myself to them. And that's not a healthy way to look at it either, right? So again, there's so many layers to how our brain codes things. And finally, they stopped picking me last. But then again, that reinforced that belief of if I prove myself, then people will pick me. It's so interesting how our brain stores information and how we experience things shapes who we are. It's wild. Hi, my love. If you're someone who's built a life for herself that looks pretty good on the outside, you've got the house, the job, the partner, but something just feels off and you just cannot quite put your finger on it. You probably keep getting this feeling that you're meant for more, but haven't actually worked up the courage to do anything about it. If this sounds like you, I want to personally invite you to The Code. The Code is a high-touch, private mentorship container for the women ready to do the deep work to become the hottest, richest, and most successful versions of themselves. It's time to create a life that feels as good as it looks. This isn't another framework to follow. It's about releasing emotions, limiting beliefs, and old patterns that are truly holding you back from becoming the hottest, richest, most successful version of you in a way that's actually authentic to you. When you recode your mind, body, and energy, you wake up with energy, excited to take care of your body and absolutely crush your day. You admit to yourself that you want to be wealthy and go after it, not from a state of delusion, but pure knowing. You make decisions and trust yourself. You're absolutely obsessed with the life that you're building because it's your version of success. Your code is about learning yourself, not a watered down version of you, but the deep down big version of you that kind of scares the shit out of you. If you're ready to meet that version of you, apply below. The link is down in the show notes. I can't wait to read through your application. Okay, back to the episode. Okay, last question. How did your life change when you actually got your dream body? For me, my life actually changed drastically. And it wasn't necessarily about my dream body per se. It was more that I had finally accomplished what I said I was going to, and that built so much trust in myself, because I lost 30 pounds pretty quickly, because I literally did an identity shift, quantum leaped, decided that I was not going to wait around for myself anymore. I was like, no, I'm changing this. Changed my thoughts, changed what I believe is possible for me, changed my body so fast. I obviously changed my behavior too. I was eating so healthy. I was locked in, and I had this new energy about myself, this new confidence that I hadn't seen ever in my whole entire life. So it really changed everything for me. And again, it taught me that I could trust myself. It taught me that I can do the things that I say I'm going to do. It taught me that I could accomplish things that I put my mind to. It taught me so much about myself. And that was the catalyst to me changing my whole life, truly. Because a month before I had lost the 30 pounds, I just was miserable. I remember looking at myself in the mirror, coming home from studying abroad, and I hated my body, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I'm gonna change. I'm gonna figure out a way to actually do it. And that's when I first learned about mindset. It was like, if you want to reach your dream body, you have to believe that you can reach your dream body. Like, you got to suck it up, stop being negative, stop playing victim, and just do it. And I was like, okay, I've tried everything else. What's one more thing? I've tried every diet, every exercise plan. If I have to brainwash myself to think I can reach my dream body, I'm just going to do it. And then bam, it happened. It was crazy. It happened so fast. And again, it wasn't necessarily like, oh, you lost 30 pounds in the physical aspect of it. It was just proving to myself that I can accomplish hard things and do things that I set my mind to. Because proving to myself that I could reach my dream body also proved that, okay, I can go audition for pro dance teams. I can believe in myself. Sure, I can make a pro dance team. Why not? Made a pro dance team. That proved to me, okay, I'm going to start a business. I'm going to quit my corporate job. If I lost 30 pounds, if I became a professional dancer, like, I've proved that to myself. So I can quit my corporate job. I can go after my dreams, right? And so it really was that first catalyst and that first aha moment of like, holy shit, I can do it and be whatever I want. So it really changed everything for me. Again, it was that catalyst of me completely changing my life and starting to follow my dreams and realize that I get to decide what I believe is possible for me. And I'm going to choose to believe that I can have anything that I want. Okay, my loves, that wraps up these questions. Again, if you have questions, follow me on Instagram. I'll post a question box about every other Monday. I love answering these questions. It's so fun for me, and I hope that you really got some value out of this too. If you have not already, please rate and review the show. It really helps the show grow. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for being here, and I can't wait to be in your ear or on your screen next week. Love you so much.